Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our hot stock panel for the month of February. Actually, by the way, my name is Glenn Tompkins. Actually, you're going to get a bonus of 2 hot stock panels this month for the month of February, the month of love. We've got 2 hot stock panels, one this week for marijuana stocks, 7 marijuana stocks to love or leave. And then next week, we're going to also have 7 clean energy stocks to love or leave. If you can hear me, by all means, please respond in the chat by letting us know by way of VV Nation if you can hear us. I'm glad to be back. It took a little week off, had to take care of some business. I am glad to be back, and glad to see that everybody is in here chatting in. Man, a lot of people in the room today. Good googly muggly. All right, so what is a hot stock panel all about, especially for the people who are brand new? This is where we bring stocks that are out there, and we normally have a theme of what we're looking for, whether last month it was stocks to look at for 2021. This panel for this month, and we normally do them once a month, this panel for this session is going to be on marijuana stocks, and next week is going to be on clean energy. But normally we only do one a month, but this is the month of love. So we love being able to do these twice for the month of February. With me, I have 2 of my esteemed colleagues, one of which I look at still as a mentor, even though sometimes we butt heads, but he's still a great friend of mine. Steve Chappell is here. Also with me, I have Jim Penna. We're not as close to friends, but he's still my friend.
Don't lie to the people, Glenn. You're lying to the people.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to bring to you some stocks that you should consider in a field or in a space that's going to be very interesting in the upcoming days. All right, the upcoming days and months to close out the year. This is going to be literally a hot industry. You get it? Hot industry. It's going to be pretty high. Woo. Anyway, so that's what we normally do in a hot stock panel. We bring these stocks to you. We talk about why we like them or why we don't like them, and we all chime in on each other's stocks to give our opinion and our insight as well. So you're going to get some good, deep diving information on a lot of these stocks that are out there that you may not know about, or stocks that you do know about, that you can at least make a better decision. For all of those people who are brand new, welcome, 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 and hopefully this will not be your last time for being here. If you like so far the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you like the content as well. We always cherish your opinions. Do not be afraid to type in the room, but keep in mind, there's a lot of people in here. We will do the best that we can to answer as many questions as possible. And my VV Nation folks out there will help me out in answering a lot of questions for some of you guys as well. Pay attention to them. These are people who are subscribers to the channel. We will be offering an opportunity to take a 99-cent trial to the VectorVest software. So everything that we're doing here, you will be able to do as well for 99 cents for 30 days. Something to really consider. All right, something to really consider. We will be giving a mug away today. All right, here we go. Keyword mug. You can type it in now. Here we go. Let me see the chat. Joey took it away. Keyword mug. You type it in, and by the end of about 2:45, we will give you who the winner of the mug is. It looks like this. Here's a VectorVest mug. There it is. And if you don't get to win it, we do have a store down below that you can purchase your own mug. So everybody's getting a chance to win your own VectorVest mug, and we'll go from there. All right. So with that, I'm really way ahead of schedule, Steve. So this is great. We're going to start off with Steve Chappell. I'm going to tell you who he works for, or who he does, because every time I say it, I screw it up. So he's going to introduce himself. I'm going to let him set the table on the atmosphere that we're in and why we're talking about these stocks. I could have done it. I think Steve will do he'll do it more justice with his acute impressionable stuff that he can do. So with that, Steve Chappell, take it away, my friend.
All right. Thanks for that warm introduction, Glenn. It's my privilege to be here as part of the panel. I'm excited for this particular one. Really participated in the last time that the marijuana stocks went on a big run several years ago, and they're starting to heat back up right now. So that's terrific. And really, if we can get some legislation through this, this coming year or the next couple of years, I mean, the Democrats know that they've got to do all they can to push all of the agendas and all of the legislation they want to get done through and through fast, because no matter who we are or what we believe, the one thing that history has shown is that those first 2 years are vital. So that sets the stage in terms of that's the next huge catalyst, for the marijuana space. If that legislation can actually come to fruition, get passed through and then leave it up to the states to do even more potential legislation in their own arenas. So it's going to be an interesting couple of years ahead, I think, for marijuana stocks. Now, one of the strengths of the VectorVest platform as it pertains to the table that we just set is we can take a group of stocks, an entire industry really, and we can force rank them and find out of all of these marijuana stocks that are out there, which ones are truly the best opportunities. What are the stocks that can double, triple, quadruple, or more, given the right climate, economic forces as some tailwind. And so I'm going to go ahead and request control here and start looking in the product. So we have those stocks listed out for you right here that we're going to be talking about today. And in the spirit of what we were talking about today are marijuana stocks to love or leave, right? And so one of the nice things about VectorVest is when you take a group of stocks and you rank them out in a watch list like this, automatically the better quality stocks tend to gravitate towards the top of the list. Now, we're not mapping out the entire space. And so, even with some of the ones that we're talking about, you may want to leave alone, there's still going to be some of the upper tiers of the marijuana space in general. But what it does do is it ranks them out, and we can see which ones are the highest quality. They tend to go towards the top. Which ones are of the little bit lower quality, they tend to go towards the bottom of the list here. Okay, so the stock, I almost said, this whole Reddit thing is starting to get into my head. But the stock that we have at the very top of the list here is hopefully not a stranger to anyone. And if it is, this is one that you really ought to learn about. They're called GrowGeneration. They're very much going to be a brick and mortar business, although I'm sure that they're, with COVID and everything, pursuing, alternate plans potentially. But their emphasis is going to be on helping all of these new marijuana upstarts and even the ones that are out there now really grow the product effectively. It's going to be much like you would say a Home Depot or a Lowe's for not just growing marijuana. That's the nice thing about this pick here too, is that it's not exclusive to marijuana and growing just marijuana plant. I mean, they're going to help you grow whatever you want to grow under the sun. So that's going to be a huge kind of side benefit here. Let's say the legislation doesn't go through according to plan. There's at least something to fall back on here. But GrowGeneration, the symbol is GRWG. It's I'm getting a little feedback, guys. It's going to be optionable and on the over-the-counter or NASDAQ stock exchange. Price is currently $56.87. We're looking at our real-time product, so it does update tick by tick. Then you'll have a value column. Value is what we figure the stocks are truly worth right now, okay, the intrinsic value of a company. Now, a lot of companies are trading above and beyond valuations these days, particularly stocks that have good value to them, believe it or not, because you have to pay a premium when you're on the backside of a big bull market run like we've been on. And this is kind of an emerging market. So value is something that'll have a much bigger impact on assessments and judgments later on once the this emerging market really starts to grab and take hold. But it's still valuable information to know. It gives you an assessment of what you're dealing with. I know price is 56, what's the true value of this stock? Now, as we come across, you've got your dollar change, percentage change. Looks like it's up about 11.5% today. Then we start to really get to what I would call the fingerprint analysis of VectorVest. This is the proprietary analysis. This is what separates VectorVest from anybody else that's out there. So I'll spend a little bit of time, covering at least the 30,000-foot view meaning of what all these next few columns mean. So the first one here is called RV, which stands for relative value. It looks at the upside potential of a company compared to a similar investment in a AAA corporate bond. What is likely to give you the better return over the next 1 to 3 years, okay? And so anything above 1 is favorable, and when you come in at a value of 1.24, it's saying this company, given its current earnings and earnings growth and things of that nature, should outperform a similar investment in a AAA corporate bond by about 24% over the next 1 to 3 years. Now, just think of this, though, guys, as kind of the one part of the engine that can drive stock prices higher, okay? And as I mentioned, in large part, it's dictated by 2 very important factors, earnings and earnings growth, okay? And you can see the earnings growth rate on this company is 43%, which is very, very strong. When we look at safety, that takes another look at the company in a much more robust way in terms of the financials, okay? So RS, or relative safety, is the consistency and predictability of financial performance. In other words, if I just boiled it all down, okay, there's a baker's dozen factors that are baked into the cookie here. But if I just cut to the core of what it's getting after, it's looking for companies who grow their earnings quarter after quarter after quarter, year after year after year. The companies that do the best job of that get the higher safety ratings. So the nice thing that we're seeing here, at least initially with Grow Generation, is they've got very good upside potential, and they're relatively safe, in particular compared to all the other stocks that are on the list here, coming in, I think, at the highest safety value. And there's a bit of a give and take here, right? Because once you start to get super safe, then companies are, typically a lot higher in price, more stability, and it can actually, begin to slow down the short-term performance of a stock because you hit that really blue chip caliber safety rating. So this is a nice balance. You're getting kind of an aggressive type of a fingerprint analysis here with this company still. When we look at relative timing, that's the short-term price trend of the stock, and we can see there's more to it. That's just a very dialed down description of it, okay? But it's looking at, is price going up or is price going down? And the higher above 1 it goes, the faster a stock's price is climbing over the short term, and the lower below 1 it goes, the faster a stock's price would be declining over the short term. And so at 1.84, it's moving up like a rocket, okay? Then we have VST, which wraps all 3 of the prior indicators, the relative value, the relative safety, and the relative timing into one number. And that's typically, well, it actually always is, the initial way a viewer of stocks is ranked is by value, safety, timing, vector. And that's where VectorVest gets its name, from vector formula, okay? So I'm not gonna go all the way down the rabbit hole on that. Just know that what you've learned so far is very important. In an instant, I can know what the upside potential of a company is. I can know how safe it is. And in this case, maybe most importantly, in comparison to the other stocks in the space, not necessarily the entire stock market. An Apple is going to be much safer than any company on this list, obviously, right? But you can get assessments of individual stocks compared to their peers, which is more valuable, I think, in this case, right? But what the upside potential is, what the safety is, what the timing is, and what the all 3 combined score comes out to be, which is fantastic. So that's why Grow Generation is at the top of the list. It's got the highest combination of those 3 factors, okay? Then we have Green Thumb below that, and then MJ on down to India Global down there at the bottom. Now, the 3 stocks that I'm going to be covering, I've got 3, and then these other 2 guys have 2 apiece. I'm going to be giving you 2 stocks to love, at least I think, and 1 stock to leave. Okay, and so we're going to be talking about Grow Generation and Green Thumb Industries as the 2 stocks that I love, and Aurora Cannabis as the one that I would consider to leave, unless I'm going to be super long term in my decision process. And I'll get more into that as we get a little deeper into our discussion here. Okay, but let's then take what we've just quickly learned and let's apply it to these other two stocks, right? So if I look at GTBIF and I look at upside potential, if I compared that to grow generation, which one has the higher upside potential of the two? You got it? You know, green thumb. So that's interesting, right? In a glance, no matter how much good press and how well grow generation has performed so far and all these things, at quick glance, I know that in spite of all of that, green thumb has an even better upside potential. At the same time, it's a bit riskier. And sometimes those two things can go hand in hand, but not always. Sometimes you can get what's called, the best of both worlds, in where you have high relative value and high relative safety. And that's what we hope some of these companies eventually become. Okay. But I know it's a little riskier, but has more upside potential, and it's not climbing quite as fast yet. Okay, so all that's valuable information. Now, when I compare that to Aurora, what is the upside potential here for Aurora? Well, it's actually unfavorable, below 1, and I see that, and yet it's up 8% today. I know that's the first thing somebody's going to say. Well, birds of a feather flock together, right? But when all the dust settles, that's when these numbers are going to really carry a lot more weight. Relative safety, the worst of the bunch, I think, on the entire list here. And as far as timing, it's still going up in spite of all these factors because, Aurora Cannabis, if you haven't been investing or looking at this space for any length of time, you might not know. Back in the day, that was considered one of the 4 best marijuana companies to really think about, and really was, one of the top performers. And still trying to perform well today, but the landscape for that company has changed dramatically. I'll just hit some of the high points that have happened along the way. They had to burn, I think it was about 1/3 of their crop because they had, accumulated more than the Canadian authority was, allowing for up there in Canada. They've had to restructure. They've had reverse splits. They've had to, cut jobs, reduce plants, all kinds of things. Now, in the long run, they may reemerge, okay, but they're still working through a lot of that process right now. And I think that's translating into a lot of the numbers you see here. For example, they're losing a good amount of money per share on a current basis, and their earnings growth is only 1%. So at that rate, it's going to take them a long time from now, at least potentially, to get into profitability, okay? So with all that being said, let's look at the charts. So I'm going to graph all these stocks, which is also nice. We can do that here in VectorVest. Okay. Hopefully I did the right ones. I did. Click this up. Okay. And it looks like it started off with green thumb here, which is fine. Okay. So green thumb, we don't need any of this fancy stuff. I prefer just to go with the normal VectorVest layout here. Okay. All right, so green thumb, as you can see, has now climbed here recently up back to an all-time high, which is terrific. It did come down, had a little bit of a dip not long ago, kissed on the 40 moving average, I think is what we have on the screen right now. Yeah, it's kind of a bullish engulfing and, reignition and takeoff from there. When we look at the performance of this stock compared to a lot of the peers that we're going to see, this stock has made a pretty concerted, consistent push up the page. And that all comes back to me as a result of that relative value number that we looked at, the upside potential, because that's coming from the earnings and, more importantly, the earnings growth. The earnings growth being one of the strongest numbers on the list, okay? So that's the engine that's driving this stock price here. The other nice thing, of course, is we can plot out things like earnings. And I want to quickly explain this for my brethren, just in case we forget to cover the importance of this number here. So I plotted on the very bottom chart there, EPS, that stands for earnings per share. Now, the way that we look at earnings in VectorVest, we do a forward-looking EPS. And how do we do that, right? That becomes important. We look at trailing information up to as much as 12 years, okay? But we also look at the year-end estimates for this year and even next year. So 2021 and 2022. Thomson Reuters, there's thousands of analysts out there. And what we do is we look at the consensus numbers. Where is this company projecting their earnings to be the end of this year and the end of next year? Where have they been here in the past? We take all that information and we extrapolate it out into a forward 1-year lead, 12-month calendar lead, okay? So when people say, when people look at the charts, I guess what can become confusing is you say, well, they're kind of moving together. That's true, right? But the more important thing to pick up from the message that I just explained is this final data point here on EPS in this chart, that's looking at where earnings is going to be 1 year from now, not where it is today. And so investors like that, right? And that's why they tend to move together in this case, is because it's looking ahead. The stock market always looks ahead, and people get tripped up, particularly like right now in earnings season, focusing in on, did they beat earnings today? Well, what you eventually learn along that road is you can be right that a company is going to have a tremendous earnings report this quarter, but it still doesn't mean the stock price is going to move up, because what matters to investors is not what have you done now, but more so what have you done now and what are you going to do in the next year, because I don't want to give you money if you're not going to make more money than you did this year, right? So that becomes a very important indicator we like to track, okay? So this one looks, you guys, do you want to do individual stocks, shoot them around the table? Or wait till I'm done all three?
All right, no, let's do what we normally do.
Okay.
We'll start with Jim, and then I'll come to me, and then Steve. Well, we could do all of them at the same time, because you brought them all up at the same time. So it's up to you, Jim. What do you want to do? Do you want to look at them all together, give your opinion, or yay, no?
No, I would say, Steve, why don't you go ahead and finish? You're on a roll, doing a great job. Why don't you go ahead and finish, and we'll chat about it after.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be about the same message all the way through is what I was thinking in my head.
Okay.
All right, so I'll go to the next one then. Let me make sure I can click on this here. There we go. So this is Grow Generation. Now, Grow Generation doesn't look all that different than what we just had, with Green Thumb. The chart pattern is very similar. It's moving up in stages. You got kind of a rolling upward stock price pattern there, right? We had reignition here just a few days ago, very similar to what was happening on the other chart. And again, the reason I really love this pick, more so than the stories, and they're going to be, the next Lowe's or Home Depot for growing plant, is that earnings number. The earnings is very important to me when I'm picking stocks, and so I like the upside potential here, given that they're already making money. And they're already making more money quarter after quarter after quarter, year after year after year. And we haven't even gotten to the legislation yet. I mean, the legislation's that's really going to matter, right? So that's again why I would pick this one. And then in terms of Aurora, you can already, there's a lot of drawing on here, but you can already see, why these lines were drawn by somebody? They were drawn because those are support and resistance levels. So instead of having a stock that's just working its way up the page from bottom left to top right, you have a stock that's more meandering all over the place, basically sideways, no real price growth at this point, even compared to 3 months ago. You're virtually at the same price point. See what I mean? And if we look down in the bottom, earnings is beginning to head the wrong direction. This has to do with the internal reorganization and things that this company is having to try to push through. And so I know it's moving up the page right now, but if you look back, it's only getting back to where it just was, And so in terms of what is a better stock to look at in terms of the next year, the upcoming year, I got to believe that I'm going to go with the stocks that are already the proven track runners, the companies that never even got into this mess, the companies that just keep growing their earnings quarter after quarter, year after year. That's who I'm going after. this could end up being a huge, huge winner in the long run. And I don't want to overlook that. And I think I would be misjudged to not say something like that. Because at the end of the day, they do sit on an awful lot of product. And if they can ever figure out how to sell it, they're going to be a problem for the rest of the industry. So I'll just leave it at that and throw it back to you guys and hit on some things that I might have missed and, have at it.
Okay, well, it's always hard after Steve goes because he covers everything so well. So the only thing I'll comment on is if you go back to the other graph you had, the previous graph before Aurora. GRWG was the graph I was looking at. And, that really says it all when you're looking at these marijuana stocks. It depends what your objective is, right? We know there are the cheap, we'll call them penny stocks, that you could be more speculative in. But if you're looking to play this, if legislation does come, if these things work out the way the industry hopes, these are the type of stocks that you want to see. And, they're broken down perfectly there using the VectorVest program, and one of my stocks will be similar to this. But as always, Steve does a great job on the overall look. So not much to add there.
All right. I'm looking at. Okay. I'm looking at all three stocks. I like, even though ACB is at the bottom of the list, I understand why. Because just the information on what the VectorVest software has to offer is important. I am going to tie this into a little bit of what's going on in the background with what's going on in the background. This is the analysis that you look for when you're playing a stock. I don't care what industry it is. And in this case, it is the marijuana industry. When I can look at a stock like GTBIF or Grow and look at these graphs move from the bottom left to the top right, I don't need anybody's social media to tell me anything. That's the beauty behind utilizing the VectorVest software. That's a 40-day moving average. It served as a beautiful level of support. Steve has talked about our indicators and how they work. You put all of that together, this is investing. There's no ifs.
Yeah, one quick point here, because otherwise I'm going to forget. That's my underdog. That's the stock that nobody come into this chat, unless you've seen me talk about it before, even knew existed probably. And yet it's probably one of the best stocks in the whole space. Go back to you, Glenn.
And you know something? And he found that by way of our watch lists. Mm-hmm. And by way of our watch list, that's where you get your information from, not what somebody else is telling you in the background and telling you in the background, telling you in the background. This is how you analyze a stock. This is how you invest in the market. This is how you make money in the market. All right, I had to get on my high horse just for a little bit because the analysis that you get with this software is bar none the best out there. And somebody in the room is going to say, well, you guys always want to upsell your software. Listen, we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're introducing to a lot of brand new people out there software that's going to help them make money. So you look at GTBIF. Steve is right. Not a lot of people know about that stock. Not a lot of people know about that stock. The Grow generation, a lot of people do know. All right. And again, in regards to the stock to leave or not to take at the right time, look at that 3-month graph. It's sitting right. And it's sitting right there. It hasn't really moved. But how about that forward earnings pulling down? Earnings is the engine that drives the stock's price higher. All right. So, Steve, I love all three of the picks, whether to love it or to leave it. It was just biting at me. I had to show this is what you look for when you go to buy stuff. And I'm not going to use a lot of the nomenclature that's being said out there, but I just want to emphatically push this is how you do what you need to do when it comes time to find the stocks and invest in the market. Yep. All right. Our next up is going to be Jimmy P. Jimmy P in the place to be. Introduce yourself to the folks out there, Jim, and take it away, buddy.
Thank you, Glenn. Hi, everyone. Jim Penna here. I'm the manager of retirement services here at VectorVest. I've been here for just about 14 years now. And it's great to be here on the Hot Stock panel, and welcome to everybody who's in the room today. I'm watching the chat box go through. I wish I could respond to everyone, but there's some great ones coming in. It's funny. I'm sitting here. I've been at VectorVest for a long time. Some of you may know who have been in these. It just hit me that there was a time I was a police officer in Connecticut where we might arrest someone for possessing marijuana. Now I'm on a stock panel picking stocks that sell marijuana. So it's just kind of funny. I thought it just hit me as I was sitting here. But anyway, as always, Steve does a great job. I have access to this. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and go into a couple of stocks. Could I just close this graph? That's just the graph I'm going to close, right?
It should take you back to the watch list.
All right, perfect. Yep. Okay, so I have just one stock that I want to talk about. I did put up MSOS. I'm just going to comment on that quickly. MSOS is simply an ETF. I saw a couple of folks type in, what about ETFs for marijuana? I'm not going to go into a deep discussion on MSOS, but just know that, the phrase I heard earlier or read earlier today, if you want to be practical and boring about it, you can go into one of the ETFs. MSOS is a good one. See, it's up today. So I just wanted to comment on that you can go into the ETF section if you want to, you want to buy an entire list of these stocks. You can certainly do it through the ETFs. So then next, excuse me, I have TCNNF, True Leaf Cannabis, for our Canadian friends, TRUL on the Canadian market in the exchange there. It's a great company. There's, a lot of it goes, why I chose this particular stock, a lot of it goes to what Steve had talked about. I don't do anything in any stocks without looking at VectorVest graph or the VectorVest spreadsheet, so I know what's going on. So if I'm looking at TCNF, it just, again, the same idea. Relative value is good at 1.29. Relative safety would be considered fair. Again, the consistency and predictability of financial performance, as Steve said, is pretty good, but obviously the relative timing indicator on all of these is strong. And what I like here is the comfort index on most of the ones we have up here as well. And you'll see why when we show the graph of this one. Earnings per share and earnings growth rate. The fact that, these, well, other than Aurora, as we saw the negative, we have earnings per share, positive earnings per share, and a growth rate at 28%. Okay, so this was just another good quality stock that I thought comes to the top of the list. I'm going to show all of the stocks in the industry, and I was going to comment a little bit about, we've got GRWG trades on the NASDAQ. We've got MJ, if I'm not mistaken, is also an ETF. Glenn, is that right? I believe it is. Yeah. So Glenn's going to talk even deeper about those, but I just wanted to comment on this one as well. That trades on the New York, trades options because it has the X next to it. You'll see a lot of these when you go into, and I think we have it open. If I come down here, I could bring up all of the stocks in the industry, in the marijuana, healthcare marijuana industry here. And we can, I only have the top 50. I think there's like 200 of them. We have the top 50 here. And this is a great place. Again, you can come in here and you can find the type of stock that you're looking for. Listen, we all like a little bit, somebody laughed when I said penny, I used the phrase penny stocks earlier. There are lower price stocks, right? And if you want to speculate, listen, by all means, I'm certainly not above that. And so I do that, but just keep in mind what you're getting into. I like the stocks, the Steve stocks, both trade on, the major indexes here. Well, the GRWG does, but some of these others, you have pink sheet stocks, bulletin board stocks. TCNF I like because, NNF I like because it trades on the bulletin board, but that Q represents a higher level of not a listed stock. So I'm not going to go into a whole lesson on the different exchanges, but, pink sheet is a little more, less information on the underlying stock. But when you go into TCNF, you're able to get, a stock that is required to have certain listings and certain information that they have to provide. And I believe that when the legislation finally comes through on the federal level, whenever that might be, a lot of these companies already have the paperwork filed so that they can register or list on larger exchanges. So you see a lot of these stocks, are what we'd call bulletin board or pink sheet. I think that's going to play a big factor in it because there's a lot of institutions, aside from perhaps hedge funds, other institutions that aren't allowed to sometimes trade in these stocks that aren't on the major exchanges. So that may have an idea later. But I wanted to bring this up to show that there's so many choices. There's over 200 stocks in here. For a lot of the reasons Steve laid out, I like the TCNNF because of the numbers that we see across the board here. Anytime you see, growth rates up there, I guess I can get to the graph right from this screen here. I'll go ahead and right click and we'll take a look at the stock graph. And you'll see again on this 1-year graph, you've got earnings per share down below. And just as Steve said, that earnings consistency is what we're looking for. Obviously, relative timing is there. And this is the type of graph pattern that we want to see. Whether if I was talking about a retirement stock, a ruler stock, not that this company's been around long enough for that, but this is the kind of movement that I want to see on any company that I own. The other reason, one of the other stories behind TCNNF or Trulieve is that they are right now, from some of the research that I've done, not to go too far into it, but they have a big foothold in Florida right now, and I know there's legislation in their state house that they're trying to pass there. They've struggled with it in the past, but one of the great points for Trulieve is that they have a strong foothold in Florida right now, and if that passes there, and they go from the healthcare to the what's the word, the entertainment side of it, or just the regular use of marijuana, they're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, recreational.
Recreational, I'm sorry, is the word I'm looking for. Yes, thank you, Steve. So that's that's one of the things. That's one reason why I chose Trulieve here. Again, TRUL for our Canadian friends. It trades on that exchange as well. So I see a good graph. I see good fundamentals. I see a great graph pattern on the movement of the stock and on earnings per share in an industry. Listen, that is poised overall to move, and that's why I mentioned the ETFs as well. If you want to, like I said, be more practical about it and own the entire, a lot of stocks in the industry, you can do it that way. But that's TCNNF. And as far as a stock that I would leave alone, that's a tough one. Again, to go back to these stocks, and if I were to look at, all of the VectorVest rankings of these and use the VectorVest program, again, I only have the top 50 here, but the further you go down, you're going to start to see pink sheet stocks. MJNA is one, right? This is something that trades on a pink sheet, is a little more speculative, I would say. But if somebody wanted to put a portion of money into something like that, I'm not going to say don't do it. Okay, but it depends on your objective and what you're looking to do. Right. So some of these pink sheet stocks, some of these much lower price ones, put in what you can afford and what you want to use for that. But don't put your full retirement account in some of these, and just stick with the VectorVest numbers and watch the graph patterns and be involved. Again, it's all based on the objective. What's your objective? Short term, long term, day trading, swing trading it, or putting it away for a day where these really do move up, and the better companies at that point will rise above. But you've got all the information you need right here in the VectorVest program, with that industry viewer for all of those stocks there. So TSNNF is my keeper. MSOS I want to put up there again just to remind you there are ETFs. Glenn will go deeper into that on MJ, and be careful with the others that don't read this way in the VectorVest program. Is kind of where I'll leave that.
All right,
So,
Steve, you want to give your input?
Yeah, sure thing. So I love that chart, Jim, and that's not one that I've never seen so many stocks that end in F. That I love these. It's crazy. I mean, I've never even seen a stock with an F before until like the last 6 months. No, I mean, the chart's beautiful, man. That's a great pick. I love the pick, and it's pretty, it's coming up off of a reset right now, so it's looking like a pretty good time to buy it, No, great. And I love the ETF advice because, look, if all of this seems still a little challenging or what have you, I mean, going with the ETF is the sure bet. So I thought it was great.
All right, I'm with you. I love the idea of the stocks that you guys are bringing to the table that some people haven't known yet or don't know about, and what a good quality stock looks like in this space. I'm telling you that if this goes through in our government, you guys could be sitting on a gold mine of being able to make money. And some of these stocks are going to prove or plow a pivotal path to help you to make money. And that's what this is all about. That's why we're giving our insights in regards to this. And, I love that Jim went through and looked at the whole watch list. Folks, that watch list is available to you if you're subscribed to the software. That watch list is available to you to do this kind of analysis. So I'm right on with it. All right, I guess it's me next. Yes? Huh?
You're up, Glenn.
It's me. All right, so I'm going to go back to the list. Wow. Joey is my producer. By the way, say hi, Joey.
Hi, Joey.
All right, my name is Glenn Tompkins, senior instructor here at VectorVest. Hey, Steve, do you know I'm pushing 17 years in less than a month? 17 years I've been here, so
yeah,
I'm excited about that. So
how could I
years.
possibly forget, Glenn?
Huh?
How could I possibly forget?
I know.
No,
Steve, you don't have it marked on your calendar, Steve?
It's I'm a part of our jockey club along with Steve Chappell. I've done the navigational series out there to help people understand what the software is all about, webcasts, the whole 9 yards. So, and I'm here a lot on YouTube as well with Trending Thursday. So that's what I do. And I'm here to help you out with some more stocks. All right. Okay. So keep in mind that, altogether it's about 7 stocks to love or leave. And this is a good list to start from. All right. Now, questions are coming up on other stocks. I'm going to address that in a second. Understand, we've got a watch list of 200 stocks. If we did a panel on all 200 stocks, you guys wouldn't stay with us for 200 stocks. So just keep that in mind. These are 7 to love or leave from us. These are our opinions. We're not saying that some of the stocks that you're putting out there are not stocks to look into. So I'll address that. And a question came up about how to get to that watch list or that listing of all of the stocks in the industries. So we'll do that. You go to, we're in the Viewers tab. From the Viewers tab, scroll down to the Industry Viewer. All right. Go scroll down to the Industry Viewer. These are all of our industries. We have 221 industries, 222 if you look at the composite. But here's all of our industries, and what I've done is I can scroll down, and we're going to go to healthcare. These are all alphabetical because I clicked on industry. Go to healthcare marijuana, right-click on it, view the stocks in that industry group, blah, blah, I know that. And as Jim mentioned, there's 200 stocks in here. Here's 200 marijuana stocks, folks, right there. All right, so Jim showed it. I just had it pulled up, but I wanted to show you how to get into it. And you know what's interesting? This is sort of by our master indicator, VST. Look at the stocks that Steve brought up. Those are 2 of the best stocks out of 200 marijuana stocks, folks. So when Steve brought those to your attention, it wasn't just, well, you know, he used the power of the software. That's how quickly you can bring this kind of information to your fingertips. If you're a longer-term investor, how about sorting the whole list by earnings growth rate? Look at that. Someone talked about Planet Fitness. Look at that. There it is. It's in the list. All right. Someone talked about IIPR. It's in the list. Someone said about CGC, it's not in the top, but it's in the list. But utilizing the power of the software, if I want to see which stocks have the highest upside potential, sort by relative value. There's GTBIF, IIPR, Planet Fitness, some of the stocks that we're looking at are some of the same stocks that we're talking about today. The power of this watch list is no joke. All right, so I wanted to show you how to get to this watch list or this group of the industry and show you that some of the other stocks that you're asking about, you can do the same analysis. All right, so we only did 7. All right, so I'm going to go back to our watch list. Oh, hot stocks, marijuana stocks to love or leave. I took this simple way out. 1, if you are trying to get into this space and you're saying to yourself, well, I don't know which stock. Steve poses a point about his stock. Jim poses a point about his stock. But I just don't know which one. And you know something? Maybe I don't want to get into both of them. That's why I'm addressing MJ. Jim already talked about another ETF, MSOS. There are ways to take advantage of the whole industry without having to take advantage of 1 or 2 individual stocks. Now, let me tell you something. A little bit more aggressive way is to take advantage of 1 or 2 of those stocks because they could move up a lot quicker and return your money a lot faster. But you got to know which one to get into, right? Whereas if I look at MJ, which is an ETF, an exchange-traded fund that looks at all of the stocks in that industry, if they go up, that ticker symbol will go up. How about it's up 11.5% today as a whole? That's not a bad return on playing the whole industry. Now, granted, GRWG on its own is up over 11% today. Well, what if I'm in GTBIF? Well, I'm not up 11%, but I'm up 6%. I'm still doing good. In TCNNF, it's up almost 6%. I'm still doing good. But if you like the idea of playing the whole industry as one, there's MJ and then another one that Steve brought up, which was MSOS. Now, you'll notice on the ETFs, the relative value and relative safety that Steve did a great job on are really not there for you to use, okay? What you're going to use is our relative timing. Which ones of these ETFs are moving up? RT, cast on a scale between 0 and 2, looks at the short-term price trend of a stock, or in this case, an exchange-traded fund. Above 1, that fund or ETF is in an uptrend. The higher above 1 it is, the faster in an uptrend it is. Both of these are doing good. All right, the CI on MJ is not above 1, but MSOS is. This stock goes up more than it goes down. That's another VectorVest indicator. These are the things that, as a subscriber to the software, you have access to make a better decision. To make a better decision. And by the way, to make a better decision on the stocks that you buy and sell. That's what this is all about. And that's where the rubber meets the road and why VectorVest subscribers, for the most part, are more successful than not. All right, let's go take a look at MJ. Right-click, view the stock graph. Pull it up. All right, not as beautiful. As a matter of fact, let me pull up the both of them since Jim brought them. Let's go look at the both of them. Jim got mad at me earlier because he said it was too much work for me to put this in the list, so he didn't want to talk to me. But I'm going to put these on a 3-month graph. I like looking at a 3-month graph because what happens on every stock every 3 months? Earnings. Look at a 3-month graph. MJ, bottom left, top right. Beautiful 40-day moving average, serving as a beautiful level of support. A lot of support and resistance lines, as Steve said. We mark up our graphs a lot. How about it just broke through a level of support right here? Look at that. Nice bump up. RT moving higher. Earnings per share is not going to play a role in an ETF, but that's what you're looking for. All right, that's on MJ, and the other one was MSOS. And Jim must have known it might have been new. All right, because we don't have a ton of data on it, but definitely moving from the bottom left to the top right. The legislation is giving you guys and gals, an opportunity to make money. Folks, it's here. And you know something? You know something? You ain't got to listen to a ding-dang darn word that we said. Not a one. But when this happens and these stocks move, you're going to sit back and go, good googly muggly, what did I not do? Right, Steve? Good googly muggly.
You're on your own, pal.
Okay.
Roger that.
All right, but both of them are moving up. Before I get into my stock that I would leave alone, anything either one of you want to say about these two stocks? You guys just left me out there on an island all by myself. That's awesome. On MSOS or MJ?
Hey, look, came back, filled the gap. Now it's making a new high. What's not to like?
Right here, filled the gap, hitting, bounced up, hitting. I like that too. What about the MJ stock? Hold on. Let's go back up to MJ. Anything on that one?
That's breakout as well.
Okay.
Looks good.
Jim?
Yeah, no, it does look good. I like that it broke through that resistance there. And, it's not, I just don't think any of these are, a 1 or 2 day, it's not episodic here. I think it's more of a trend.
Right.
I think it's, reality driven. And I like the movement on all the ones we've shown.
All right. Now, questions are coming up about looking at other stocks. I've explained to you that these are our 7 stocks to take a look at. Sundial is in this list. Planet is in Planet 13. Tilray, IIPR, CGC. Folks, take a look at them.
Planet 13 is it? Mike Tyson, I think, is the figure.
On Planet 13.
Yeah.
It's the greatest marijuana stock ever.
Oh, stop talking about Mike Tyson, because he's from New York. Stop it. Anyway, take the
Glenn,
analysis that Steve laid out for you very meticulously
here
to look at those stocks like Sundial and all of those different stocks. These are 7 that we like and that we're going to, show to you. But you can do the same analysis with stocks like Sundial. All right, so. And my other stock that's in the list, the one to stay away from was India Global. India Global has gone through a whole bunch of stuff. Did you know that they got unlisted and then they got delisted on October 29th, they got delisted the common shares, but they got relisted again and back on the American, and they've got litigation coming up against them as well. There's a lot going on with India Global. The stock is trading at 2, value of 49 cents. Fundamentally, the stock is not viable. Relative value below 1, relative safety below 1. Relative timing is above 1. You notice that this is one of 2 stocks. Steve's stock to leave has a negative earnings. My stock to leave has a negative earnings. Those are the 2 stocks in this whole list that have negative earnings. I think that we both did a good job as far as picking 2 stocks not to leave. 2 stocks to leave. All right. Not only is India Global negative earnings per share, but look at the negative earnings growth rate behind that. Gosh, I'm not feeling that. If I go pull this up on the graph, yeah. And now I do see the move. Look at all of this ratchetness. I said it, ratchetosity. Look at all of this ratchetosity happening back here. The stock is on a little bit of pulling back, but a long way to go from the high. Relative timing has been jagged. I got a lot of jagosity going on relative timing, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think that this is just a tough stock to try to be in this space. There's a lot of other stocks that are a lot more viable to be in this space. That's what I'd look for. Right now, IGC, India Global, would be one that I would leave. There's too many other stocks in that list, and even stocks that you brought up, like the IIPR, the CGC, the Tilray, the Sundial. There's a lot of the better stocks out there. IGC in this space is my one to leave. All right. Steve, any input?
Yeah, so for the layman out there, jagosity, that's volatility. Just to clear up that that for a second. But that volatility that you see on the chart, those big spikes, those are in conjunction with announcements around clinical trials. So this is they've got some pain drug, marijuana pain drug in clinical trial that has a lot of potential. The problem is you don't know if or when FDA is going to grant approval. So that's the nature of the stock, and that's why you see the jagosity is around speculation, And so here again, flip a coin. Over to you, Jim.
Yeah, I thought jagosity was based on the volatility because it looks like Mick Jagger moving around on stage live, to get the movement of the stock. But yeah, no, I was commenting earlier. There's so many in here. It depends on your objective. If you're going to be a little more, speculative, if you choose to, there's a lot of things to go in. Just be smart about it. Don't put your entire net worth into. A lot of people have typed sundial up there. Don't put your entire net worth into it. Although,
oh, don't start.
I'm I don't know. People are asking us to comment. I'm long sundial, so.
Yeah, I think all three of us are, but that's a story for another time. But
just be smart about it is all I'm saying. Don't you got to be smart about it if you're going to go with these type.
That's absolutely right.
I have most of my marijuana money in Grow Generation. That's on record now.
And most of mine, unfortunately or fortunately, I put a lot of mine in the sundial. I did, but you got to understand the amount of money that I'm working with compared to my retirement portfolio. So it rounds out back up to what Jim said. My goal, this is more of an aggressive play. It is not my retirement money that I'm putting at risk. Right. And I think those kinds of terms that what Steve and Jim both said are important. It's great to try to hit the home run. And if you hit a home run, that's great. But you don't want to do it with your hard-earned retirement money and hope and pray. Those are 4-letter words. You don't want to have to hope and pray that you hit the home runs with those if you're investing with your retirement money. A lot of people in here.
That was my point. My point was just be smart about it.
I agree.
If you're going to go with a different, objective,
there you go.
Just be smart about it.
All right, folks.
Oh, I got gambling money.
Oh boy, here we go. I'm not trying to hear that story, not right now. All right,
I'll save it for next week.
If you like what you saw today, please hit the like button. If you're brand new and you like the channel of what we talked about, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Smash the bell icon so you can be alerted to all of the new content. And again, for all of the new people, hopefully you did find this, 1, useful, but 2, entertaining. We try to put a different spin on stocks when we talk. We like to have fun, but we want to give you the information that you need to make better decisions. So I am glad that we had all 3 of us here. This is a good group of people, a solid group of people who know what they're talking about. At least the other 2. I'm just a funny guy. That my job is just to be the funny guy. But Jim and Steve, I value their opinions. I may not always agree with them, and I'm the first to say that. But I do value what they have to say, and no matter what. I really, really do. Don't forget, and I'm gonna put on my salesman hat for a second. Don't forget, we do have a course, excuse me, that we have going on called the Precision Swing Trading Course. A lot of the stocks that you see in this list that we talked about today are great swing trades, especially if what's going on with the administration. These could be beautiful swing trades. But if you want to learn how to swing trade on an ongoing basis, we do have a course called the Precision Swing Trading Course, which will walk you through market timing, what market timing is best utilized for swing trading, how to find the best swing trading candidates, and how to manage them. So Joey put the link in the chat for you if you're interested. Take a look at it. Take a look at what the course has to offer. And if it's something that you're interested in, who doesn't want to be able to consistently swing trade? I just think about that. Who doesn't want to consistently do that? And we do offer a course to be able to do that. But this listing of stocks that you see today, where's my list? These listing of stocks that you see today and all that we did today, 99 cents get you a 30-day trial to the software. 99 cents. All right, with that, I'm going to give away the mug now, Joey. Oh, my gosh. But you got to be here. If you ain't here, hush up. You're lucky my board is not on. Jeremy Green Armitage. You got to be here in order to get it. Jeremy Green Armitage. Are you here? Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. Okay, next one. Lisa, what is that name? Dwayne? Oh my gosh, Lisa? Lisa D. I'm thinking it's a Lisa D. Lisa Doom? No, not Lisette. Lisa. Wow, nobody stayed to the end to win. Going once. Going twice. 3 times a lady. My last person, Salim D. Salim D. Oh, sigh. Listen. If I don't give out a cup today, I can't believe 3 people in the room and nobody stayed to the end. Joey, what do you want me to do?
Let's sign off.
All right. Wow. Try one more. That's a Joey thing. Joey says sign off. All right. Gosh, darn it.
How about pick the next person to type in anything they want?
All right. Then that would be Mike Moreau.
There you go.
There you go. That was the next person that came up. Mike Moreau.
Connect to VectorVest.com.
Mike Moreau, you have to send an email to connect@VectorVest.com. Mike Moreau, send an email to connect@VectorVest.com. Sigh. I can't always get everybody. But if I don't get an email, then I guess that cup still doesn't go. All right, folks, thank you all for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I appreciate my guests being here. I think this is a hot subject, and I think you guys now at least have a head start on some of the stocks that you want to look at. If you have the VectorVest software, you now know how to utilize the industry group to find stocks to get into. That's what it's all about. All right, make good decisions, make good, solid decisions. And that's what we try to spread out here. So
We got another one next week.
I got another hot stock panel next week. The same group of people is going to be here next week for clean energy. So we're going to do a clean energy hot stock panel. And again, this is for the month of love, February. And we're going to do a hot stock panel, 7 clean energy stocks to love or leave. So the same 3 people will be here for you next week. All right, with that, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Adios, arrivederci, ciao, au revoir, sayonara. Aloha to all my people from Maui that are in here. I appreciate you guys being here. Salam, shalom, namaste. Have a great day, folks. We're out of here.